these are our favorite beer tours we've been on. We've gone on many. We've gone on a lot together. We've gone on a lot not together. And this is the list that we came up with of our favorite ones over the couple of years, the 15 years of our friendship.
Long time.
Long time. So hit us off.
I'm going to hit us up with number 10.
Number 10.
And it's going to be the Coors tour. We are in wonderful, beautiful Colorado. The Coors facility is in beautiful Golden, Colorado. Oh my gosh. When we were first making this list, it didn't make my list. And I don't know how it didn't make my list. But Chelsea was good enough to bring it back up. How could I forget it? This one was on my list of 30 things I'd never done in 3 days for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
How much fun is that?
It was exhausting.
You're welcome. You can take that idea.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, but it was an incredibly good time.
It was.
Let's see. Yeah,
it's just
something I've never done before.
Never done. Never seen a brewery that size.
No.
It was free at the time. I don't think it's free anymore.
I don't even know if they give you beers anymore.
I think they do, but I think they charge. But they definitely like hit you up with a decent amount of beer. And just seeing like the old cans, seeing a brewery that's been around for so long, you had the Prohibition story. You've got tears from everything they've fought through. The brands, I think that was a big thing. If I'm remembering correctly, it was how many brands I didn't realize were out of Coors.
Under the Coors umbrella.
Yeah, so it was just really cool. So I think as most of these are going to hit, like our experience and why we care about it is going to be because we had a special experience with it. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm going to take it into number 9. And one of my favorite breweries in the world easily is Avery. Mm-hmm. I've known people at Avery, so I've been able to actually like hit the ground floor, do some tours with them. But even if you don't have those connections, what's so cool about it is they have the catwalk.
Self-guided.
Like, but they don't necessarily have like the stopping points and tell you what's about. I kind of wish they did. That'd be really cool. But you get to actually like walk over all of the brewing facility, all of the new location.
Yeah.
They have a bar at the other end of it that has limited like draft lines. It's not always open, just on busier times. Mm-hmm. But outside of going into these huge breweries like Coors, it's definitely up there. It's one of the bigger ones in Colorado for sure. And so to see that type of scale and see the canning lines and kind of get this other like bird's eye perspective, to me is what really hits off. Like what's really cool is you grab a beer, waiting for your food, then you go walk around. And
they have an amazing food lineup as well. So you can get out there, get on the catwalk, read about the history, wait for that food. They also have a really good merch area.
Yeah, they crush the merch area. Lots of great beer selection. It's just cool.
Another
experience.
Colorado classic. Yeah, gotta
classic.
do it. If you're in town, gotta go.
Would recommend.
Coming in at number 8, we have to head to the mountains, and we're going to Casey Brewing. If you have not been, definitely recommend. Yeah. We were actually on our way back from Aspen. We went and saw Xavier Rudd at the Belly Up.
One of my favorites.
Stayed at one of Kevin's friends' houses.
Yeah.
And so we're on our way back that next day. And when you're in the Colorado mountains, you must stop at the Colorado Mountain Town Breweries. And Casey Brewing happened to be
they were open.
And they were actually open, which is a big deal.
Yeah, because that specific location, I don't know if it still is that way. I think it is, but they were only open like 1 weekend a month. Mm-hmm. And they would do tours, and you go buy bottles, and they would release whatever beer they were releasing. So like
I don't remember the beer, to be honest.
The fact they were open was a feat in itself. So we had to stop.
Lady Luck was on our side.
Yeah.
And so we were poured the most delicious sours. And they gave us a tour of the facility, right? There's the big barrels everywhere. The
guy was a great time. We got to try out a bunch of different, like just popping bottles. We got to try a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
It was such a cool, that was the first time I'd done like a bottle.
Right?
Yeah. And it's beautiful. And we just like had the dogs, and we like put them outside. Put them under the patio. They were great.
I'm sure Remy barked at
I think we went out and checked on them regularly. We're not saying you'd recommend with that, but like it was a beautiful day, and
I think it was in April, so it wasn't too bad.
We just it was the first time that at least I had ever done like a bottle type of brewery.
That's
where
fair.
They didn't have really. I don't remember if they had anything on tap. If we were just popping bottles. So it's just a cool experience. It was an experience I'd never had. So yeah. Anyways,
it was great.
That was fun.
Totally recommend.
Yeah, great mountain town. If you like sours, they're fantastic. They also opened another location in Glendale.
That sounds right.
Open more regularly. They kind of have a different variety of beers on. It's not just bottle shares, but they have their bottles as well.
Yeah, they're kind of expanding in their own way.
Yeah, which makes sense. Number 7, gonna bring it back into the local area and a local brewery to heart because I work there and I'm a big fan of everyone at the place. And we went to their anniversary this last year. 15th upslope. Upslope. I would say a couple different reasons this is such a memorable one. One, like I was able to actually give the tour, and it was the at the time biggest brewery that I had ever worked at.
Right.
Bigger tanks, bigger facilities, like more production.
Hell of a canning line.
Hell of a canning line, and that's just like such a fun story. Is like this massive canning line that used to be like a Coca-Cola bottling line, and then they transferred it into a beer one. And if I'm remembering the story perfectly correctly, they actually like beat New Belgium for the most beers filled per minute. In like a challenge. New Belgium like had the record for the craft beers. Like I don't know if it's nationally or just for Colorado, and they like cranked that sucker up for however long, right over like the time to beat the record. And I think they might still have the record. It might have changed, but it was a handful of years I worked there. But definitely very unique to see such a massive canning line for at the time, right? Like at most maybe you saw like smaller canning lines or none
at all,
or just crawlers.
That was definitely. I think that was my first canning line outside of the Coors tour. Which is a lot more massive.
Yeah, fair. You're gonna be like right in the middle.
Perspective, right? Just how many beers each facility is pushing out. So I really loved going in. You know, just kind of like a fly on the wall. If Chelsea's working at this brewery and I'm around, I'm gonna go check it out. Yeah. And what's cool about the craft beer community is oftentimes everybody is so willing to share their knowledge and their experience and talk about that canning line or talk about what they're brewing, you know what I mean? And just, it's okay to go in the back and have those conversations. They give tours and what have you, but
don't just walk back there.
Don't just walk back in there. But it was kind of nice to be like, I'm here helping out, just grabbing some extra toilet cleaner, you know what I mean?
When they would do the, like when they do their anniversaries and they do big festivals, they open up and they like barricade off a lot of the stuff, and it's a really cool experience to
walk in the back.
like really be part and be in it. So it's another thing that I just love of how they do their setup. It makes it feel very transparent and open, and I'm pretty sure they're still a certified B Corp, or at least they were going for it. So like that's just part of their whole mission, and how they run their events just shows that that's part of their mission. So great event, great time,
great people. Shout out.
Brewing. Number 7.
Bringing it back. Number 6. We're doing Outer Range.
I saw the L and I.
L for 7.
Saw 7. Dyslexia, guys.
Outer Range. So this is actually just more recently. We were up in Silverthorne for our Certified Cicerone tasting exam, which we passed. Thank you very much. And there's a guy there named Billy who is the cellar manager at Outer Range. Super friendly guy, amazing. Shout out to you, Billy. Had a great time. He was like, hey, come down to Outer Range. Like, I'll give you a tour and we'll hang out. We'll talk some more. Yeah. Awesome. So we did. How could we pass up on that opportunity? Truly. Some of the most sophisticated brew house that I've seen. Especially the technology they've got rocking through there for that size. That was like, incredible.
That was kind of like their jam is the amount of beer they crank out in the size of a facility is pretty astonishing. And they really mastered that. The art, the finesse, the structure, the process, the whole thing is pretty cool seeing how they did it.
Yeah, and wrapping their canning line a lot around the brew house and what's already sitting there, right? It was very, very clever. And they opened or are opening up their spot over in Chamonix. Opened.
Officially open, I think they said in December.
Yeah.
Chamonix, France.
So pretty cool getting to hear about that as well. Yeah. And how the Europeans aren't shy to say that they too have a good IPA. So back off. I'm just kidding. It was more jovial than that. Not so feisty. Very cool tour. Shout out to them.
Number 7. This was one that was, God, why am I stuck on 7? Number 5.
We're going gambling.
Fair. Odyssey Brewing. This one I love that you put on because it wasn't necessarily on my highest list, but we did a sensory tasting for off flavors there, and it's kind of our first time getting to experience that. Yep. And because it was like an event, they basically put it on in the back of the house to not take up like seats, and sat back there and drank crappy beer. Keystone. And then they put crappy flavors in the crappy beer, and that's kind of how it went. And it was honestly, like, it was a good time. It was fun.
We learned a lot.
We learned a
right?
lot. And that was like the best part.
Yeah,
So it was memorable to be like back by the tanks drinking crappy beer and like learning these off flavors and trying to smell stuff, and it was a great experience. So for that, you made it to the number 5.
And I would say the inspiration to continue our education in the craft beer world.
Yep,
for sure. So number 4, again, more recently, you maybe saw this episode or not, but we were over at Someplace Else Brewery and we got to hang out with Tori. Yeah. And she gave us a great tour of the brew arcade there and their brew house operations. What an amazing human being, super welcoming and sharing of her story. Very inspiring. Yeah. Just great to be a part of, right? It's not just about the brew, it's about the community, right? And how willing and open she is to sharing in the community and encouraging people to be a part of it as well. Shout out to that.
The little one barrels were my favorite.
Okay.
They were adorable. Yeah. And they had like giant little koozies on them, so they were super cute. But like, what a good concept. I love the story of why they do it.
Every Friday.
Yeah, that's just the great, that was probably the highlight of that tour for me.
For sure.
We're into number 3, not number 7. Number 3.
Flaming 7
is Four Noses. We've been talking about them a lot, but we couldn't not hit them on because
we kind of gotta.
That's where we got our first brewery tour.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Where I got to give my first brewery tours, and where I got to learn about brewery tours, and where I got into the brewing space, and how all of this became because of Four Noses, and partnering with such an incredible family, and getting to be hired with just. Honestly, probably determination. I think Tammy said I was the only one that applied, so they waited and was like, well, she's the only one that applied. And we're all great friends, so it was fantastic.
Yeah. I had no idea what the back of a brewery looked like. I definitely know what the back of a bar looks like, but to go in the back and see these tanks in the brewer house and learn about the process and the operation. Yeah. I had no idea. Yeah. I mean, Anarchy, one of their first IPAs, I think that was one of the first IPAs I had ever had. And it wrecked my world. And I loved it. I had an incredibly unhealthy love affair with Anarchy. And it was great and beautiful times.
Great and beautiful times.
So thank you for that.
All the love. You always see us like sporting the glassware, their merch. I mean, we just have all the love. It's just such a wholesome experience.
Part of the origin story.
Yeah, part of the origin story. Like the reason of the origin story. I mean, truly. I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened some other way, but that is the start of it. So all the love to Four Noses. Thanks for introducing us to brewery tours.
That's right.
Number 2. This not to take away from number 1. This would have been my number 1.
We didn't even. Oh, fair. Yeah. Well, I'll let you take it if it's your favorite.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
because number 1 is my number 1.
Yeah. The Cantillon in Belgium. That's right. Very, very old brewery. I don't remember what the years of when it got open, but it's
one of the first.
Yeah, how old? Another brewery that basically only does bottles. Lambics. They do sours. They do wild fermented beers. And why this was such a fun tour was one, like, just going to this old brewery. We had to, like, walk our asses off.
It was more like a museum.
Yeah, it was almost more like a museum. And we had to, like, walk hella far from where we were staying to get to this brewery. We get there, and we like, all right, let's grab a couple bottles. We had to wait for the time slot for the tour to open. And we're like, all right, whatever. We'll drink some, like, and they're big bottles, right? They're the big ones. And we happened to run into the owner of Broken Compass there.
Yeah.
That we were like, oh my God. Like, so we like had like a little bit of beer together. He gave us his leftover beers because they were on their way out. He'd done the tour before. And so we're like, oh my God, so excited to do this tour. And we're a decent amount of beer because I think we had like 45 minutes and we're like, we got to get through these bottles.
I actually thought we only drank afterwards. So this is news to me.
So we had all of his bottles to get through and ours before we did the tour. Yeah. And then it's a self-guided tour, which we didn't realize. And so they basically give you a little pamphlet, and we're like walking through, and there's a group of, it's you, Kevin, me, Troy, Campbell. Yeah. I think it was like the 5 of us.
Rot, the original Root Rot.
Yeah, it was Root Rot. Yeah. And we're walking through, and we're playing popcorn, if you remember as a little child, that you like basically read the pamphlet, and we'd be like, popcorn, Chelsea, popcorn, Campbell. And we'd read the next paragraph as we're going through this brewery and like learning about all of like the ages and like the open fermentation and all the barrels and all the old ass
My
equipment.
mind exploded.
Yeah, and it was a totally different world
So
because
cool.
I didn't really know anything about wild, like open fermented beers before.
Right.
And then we were pretty tipsy playing popcorn, and the people behind us hated us. Eventually, they just skipped past us because we were so slow reading through it. And
We were
it was
having
just,
a good time.
we had a good time. And we went back, and I think we got the rest of the bottles that we hadn't drank yet.
And they came in these cute little wicker baskets.
Yeah, yep.
Like you're going on a
So
fun
cute.
picnic.
So much fun.
Super old. Lots of information. You're in Belgium. You're drinking these old ass lambics.
Yeah, incredible. The yeast strains, right, have been around for hundreds of
They're
years.
just hanging out there on the wall going, I'm going to make your beer taste like Belgium.
It's my turn to dive in. It's gonna be great. So,
Oh,
anyways, we'll get to our
amazing
number one.
memory. Number one.
This is also good. I can't say this isn't a number one, but
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Number one is Lagunitas.
hey,
We have talked about this before. Why? Because I have that memory, never leaves my brain.
unexpected.
Oh my God, totally unexpected because it was Michelle's cousin, right? It was kind of like that last.
The tour, but even just walking into a hallway of
Oh yeah, so you walk
Willy
in,
Wonka,
and
like
it's
totally
dark,
unexpected.
but it's their bright colors, right? Like there's the blues and there's the greens and there's the pink, and it's like walking into a nightclub. But then they're like bubbles, and then that song starts playing, Pure Imagination, and then there's these giant tanks, and I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
It was quite
How
an
cool.
incredible, like, and it was
How
totally
cool.
unexpected. Like, it was just that we were walking to a brewery and we were like, oh my God, we walked
And
into
then
like
you
a
got to walk
carnival
up,
ride.
right? So similar to like our Avery tour, our
Yeah, the
Coors tour,
room.
you go up and you get on top of the brew house.
Yeah, I was thinking right when we got there, there's the room that had like the giant dog and like the different sized furnitures to kind of give this perspective of like almost like a dollhouse.
Yeah, you're going in the elevator, right?
Yeah, it's super cool.
So you get up on the catwalk and there's more of these ginormous tanks
just
everywhere.
huge.
And I can't remember her name. Feel a little bad about that, but it's been a little bit of time.
We'll plug it in.
Took us on a tour throughout the facility, and
That was great.
I think I was just in such shock and awe.
They weren't doing tours anymore. They hadn't restarted up tours yet since COVID,
fair.
and so we were able
got the
to.
end.
Yeah, we were able to go waltz through and learn about the size of the facility and kind of the backstory and how it got going and when they moved to location. It was just a really incredible experience because I think like we had such little expectations going in, and then we're just completely blown away by the hospitality, by the songs, the entrance, the whole grand scheme, the ambiance of it all. It was great. Great experience.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
We have great videos of the tour too.
Yeah, as they saw. Yeah. As they saw.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Right?
Because we put it in there.
Put those in there. We do have a bonus for you.
Yep.
That's for you. I want you to tee us up for this one. Couldn't leave it out.
Yep. When we were in Bozeman the first time, we did our off flavor for Cicerone,
Which we failed.
which we did not pass. Afterwards, we went out and did a tour with Rich, who is a Master Cicerone.
There are very few of in the world.
Very, very few. And he was able to take us through not only different breweries in the area, but break down better how to read the numbers, to understand the beers, to understand the hops, understand like all these other aspects that I just had no idea. And we got to do it behind the scenes. We got to try some grains, got to smell some hops, and all that was fantastic. But just like learning nearly like a different way that somebody views the world, and the world is beer, but just he views it in such a different way than I view it, in the way you view it. And that's what it wasn't necessarily a specific tour as much as we got a tour from him. And for that, Rich, we are one step closer to passing. And thank you for keeping us inspired, because we did pass the second go around. So thank you for that. And yeah, it was a great time. I'd say
so much fun.
So much fun.
Can't leave that out. Also, it's Bozeman. Bozeman's such a great place to visit, and everybody again super welcoming and nice.
Yeah. So great trip down memory lane. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our top 10.